Right, so the last four of the UEFA Champions League is actually set, and now we know the four teams that will be playing for the UEFA Champions League trophy. So that six teams started the competition. Now we are in the last for the semi-finals, where you have Arsenal playing on or taking on PSG, and then also you have Barcelona against Inter Milan. Now we'll be taking a preview of the games coming up in the UEFA Champions League, Arsenal, PSG, and then also you have the Barcelona and then Inter Milan game. But before I continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel down below, and then also we have the comment section always open. You can bring in your predictions, and then also what do you make of the games coming up. So let's begin with a game at the Emirates, where Arsenal will be taking on Paris Saint-Germain. What a big game it will be. So Arsenal actually have made it to the final of the UEFA Champions League once, where they met Barcelona in the final in the 2004-2005 season. Unfortunately, after taking the lead, they lost by 2-1, which gave Barcelona their UEFA Champions League title. But then they will be seeking to make it to the grand finale again. But we'll be looking at the permutations and then the chances of Arsenal making it into the grand finale ahead of the first leg as well as the second leg. So let's not forget that Thomas Partey, the midfield maestro for Arsenal, would not be featuring after he picked up a yellow card in the second leg against Real Madrid, which meant that he would be suspended for the first leg, and that would be a very big blow to Arsenal. And after Liverpool were confirmed champions of the Premier League over the weekend, it means that Arsenal would now totally turn their attentions to the UEFA Champions League. And you'll be wondering the sort of team that Mikel Arteta could be fielding for this particular one against Paris Saint-Germain. So Julian Timber has been declared fit, so he will definitely be in action, to play against Paris Saint-Germain. Miles Lewis Kelly, will definitely be playing from the left-hand side of the back four, which means that he might keep his place. But then also the absence of Gabriel Mireles means that William Saliba would definitely partner Jacob Kiwior in the heart of defense. Now, Thomas Partey, like I stated earlier on, will not be playing in the game because he's been suspended due to accumulation of cards. So Thomas Partey will be missing. But then that is where the problem will be for Mikel Arteta, because the only player he could rely on to fill that void for Thomas Partey could definitely be Mikel Merino, a player who's been deployed as a false nine since the injury to Kai Havertz and then also Gabriel Jesus. So that could be a huge change for Mikel Arteta, should he choose to bring Mikel Merino into midfield to fill in the void that will be left, or that has been left by Thomas Partey. Then the question is, how does he get the balance? Because Mikel Merino has actually played so well since playing or being deployed as a false nine in the Arsenal system. We've seen him score some crucial goals for them, as well as that goal in the first leg against Real Madrid when he scored a lovely goal for Arsenal. So with Thomas Partey's omission, since he wouldn't be available for selection, it's likely that Mikel Merino will be in midfield, partnering Martin Odegaard and then also Declan Rice. Now, we know that Bukayo Saka is fit. He's been past fit after struggling with a series of injuries throughout the season. So he's definitely going to start at the right-hand side of attack for Arsenal. Definitely we'll get to see Gabriel Martinelli also play from the left-hand side. But should Mikel Merino be moved from the false nine position, that means that one ideal replacement could be lined up to play through the middle for Arsenal. And that is likely to be Leandro Trossard. So all things being equal, if whatever we are going by, looking at the training sessions Arsenal have had in recent times, then definitely this could be the 11 Mikel Arteta could be deploying on the day against Paris Saint-Germain. But the question still remains that how is this team going to fare with the absence of Thomas Partey? The likes of Gabriel Jesus and then also Kai Havertz have been on the injury list for months now. So it's quite understandable that they've not been in the plans of Arteta, for some time now. But then Partey has been crucial. He's been so crucial to the Arsenal setup, and his absence could be a big blow for them. But for PSG, they have very little injury concerns heading into this game. They have their team fully and wholly available for selection. So there's a likelihood that Luis Enrique could maintain the 11 that played in the second leg of that quarter final game against Aston Villa, where Donnarumma will be in post. You have a back four of Marquinhos, Pacho as centre backs, and then Hakimi, Mendes as lateral defenders. In midfield, the ever hard-working, ever-present midfield trio of PSG, Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, and Joao Neves are likely to start. And then also you have Desiree Doué, Ousmane Dembele, and then also Vicha Kvaratskhelia all in contention to start. So you compare the two sides, you look and you realize that Paris Saint-Germain have a healthy squad, a squad that is available for their head coach, Luis Enrique, to pick from, unlike Arsenal, who will be struggling. But for both teams, it looks like their fate and destiny as far as the league is concerned has been determined. So Arsenal will play second. Yeah, it's not all done and dusted, but then it's likely they might qualify for the UEFA Champions League next season. But for Paris Saint-Germain, they have already won the league. They lost for the very first time in the league over the weekend. But that wouldn't really be a matter, of worry for them, because they know that after winning the Ligue 1 title, they would hope to complete the double with a victory against Arsenal. Then the other semi-final game would be at the Luis Companys, the home grounds of Barcelona. So that's the game which will be coming up, where Barcelona will also be taking on Inter Milan. So Inter Milan in the league are really struggling after the loss to AS Roma over the weekend, a result no one saw coming. And after Napoli's win over the weekend, it means that Napoli are now outrightly top of the Serie A table, and they only have 4 games to play. So all 4 games are winnable games for Napoli, and if they should win all these 4 games, it means that they'll be crowned champions of the Serie A. But for Barcelona, they claim their very first trophy of the season when they beat Real Madrid in some controversial circumstances, over the weekend. A series of red cards, some bad officiating as per popular reports, but then Barcelona wouldn't care. They are aiming for a historic treble, because after bagging the Copa del Rey trophy, there's still the Champions League to play for. And then in the league, they have a 4-point lead over Real Madrid. Now let's take a look at the game coming up in the UEFA Champions League between Barcelona and then also Inter Milan. Unfortunately for Barcelona, they would have to play the 2 legs against Inter Milan without their marksman Robert Lewandowski, who picked up an injury a couple of weeks ago. But then the back line seems to be very healthy, with Szczesny still, manning the post for them. So Koundé, who scored a winning goal against Real Madrid, would definitely be at the right back position. You have Paul Kambasi, a young chap who is going to partner and experience Inigo Martinez at the heart of midfield. And then also you could have a very young Gerard Martin playing from the left-hand side of defense. Now the double pivot would definitely be Pedri, who was crowned the player of the month in the La Liga for the month of April. And then also the playmaking Frankie de Jong. Now you have Lamine Yamal also playing. Definitely he'll be featuring, because there's no injuries linked to Lamine Yamal. You have Dani Olmo also available, and then also Rafinha. So far, it could be said that he is the best player in the UEFA Champions League this season. But then it leaves the front line. In the absence of Robert Lewandowski, it's likely that we could see Ferran Torres, lead the lines for Barcelona. This is the possible starting, 11 for Barcelona. There's also another school of thought where people are saying that it could also be ideal that Rafinha could be playing through the middle as a false 9 for Barcelona in their game against Inter Milan. But let's also take a look at the Inter Milan team that are also gunning to win their first UEFA Champions League title since 2010, when they won it with Jose Mourinho as manager. So Jan Sommer is definitely going to start in post, and you have a back 3 of Bastoni, Acerbi, and then also Jan Bisek. Now the lateral or the wing backs actually could be Matteo Darmian and then also Federico Di Marco. You have a midfield trio of Henrik Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, and then also Nicolo Barella. But then the front 2 is likely again. So it could be an unchanged 11 for Inter Milan. It would be an unchanged team from the team that lost to AS Roma over the weekend, because there's a likelihood Arnautovic and then also Lautaro Martinez could be leading the lines for them. Perhaps we could even see Marcus Thuram, but then unfortunately Marcus Thuram also picked up an injury, so it means that Arnautovic would be gunning to start for Inter Milan. So it's definitely going to be a huge game. But let's take a look at the head-to-head between these two sides. So the last time these two teams actually met in the competition was in the 2022-2023 season in the group stages, where Inter Milan won 1-0 at home, and then it was hardest even between the two when Barcelona played at the Camp Nou. A 3-3 draw, a pulsating one for that matter. But then the last time also they met in the knockout stages was when Inter Milan actually beat Barcelona 3-2 on aggregate. So you remember that famous game where Jose Mourinho was manager of Inter Milan, where they won 3-1 at the Giuseppe Meazza, and then they had to defend for 90 minutes plus at the Camp Nou. And they ended up losing to a PK goal. It's just a lone goal, but then Jose Mourinho defied all the odds with that Inter Milan team to win the historic treble. So these are the games coming up in the UEFA Champions League. We've seen the probable or possible lineups, and then we've seen the strength and weaknesses of both sides. What do you think the scorelines will be? I'm not in the best position to actually, give my predictions, but I know you out there after watching this video will have a fair idea where to place your bet.